That is Womeland. Womeland. The destiny of Cameroon is in the hands of Womeland. He goes right behind, takes all his time, stands. The whistle has been sounded. His heartbeat comes up with a right footer, kicks, and
journalism, it's a very good profession, but a very challenging one. Good in the sense that you have a very liberal mind. You are the eye, the ear, and the nose of the public, but you must know how to perform within your own context. There are challenges, but you must be able to overcome the challenges if you have to be a good journalist.
CHEBONGKENG KALABUBSE has been for many years one of the icons of journalism in Cameroon in English.
CHEBONGKENG est quelqu'un de complet, un profil comme on aimerait en trouver. C'est un présentateur avenant.
Joe est quelqu'un d'une fréquentation assez agréable et d'une compagnie effectivement agréable.
Brother Joe is very, very humble, very simple, and we enjoy that.
He is professional, he is simple and humble.
He is very frank, he is very principled, he is not afraid to air his opinions, even if it will not be accepted.
He loves farming. Even being a civil servant at his category, even being a senior journalist at CRTV, Joe never forgets that he comes from Mfe in Nwa subdivision.
Comme journaliste, c'est quelqu'un de méticuleux, c'est quelqu'un de présent, c'est un fin travailleur.
CHEBONGKENG est d'abord notre camarade de classe pour notre promotion à l'École supérieure des sciences et techniques de l'information et de la communication de 1986 à 1989. Très sérieux, avec le style anglo-saxon d'abord, à sa mise, très travailleur. Tant et si bien que nous avons eu la chance d'être distingués. À l'époque, le directeur de l'ESTIC, c'était à l'époque le professeur Jacques Famdongo qui nous avait sélectionné 3 d'entre nous pour aller couvrir une édition du 20 mai au Palais de l'Unité. Et le chef de l'État, lorsqu'il a fait sa tournée, il est venu nous saluer. Nous avons poursuivi avec les stages à l'étranger, en France, aux États-Unis, au Canada également. Nous avons été distingués parce qu'au Canada, nous faisions le stage in cours et on nous envoyait dans des villes. Par la suite, on a passé le concours d'entrée à la CRTV en 1989.
It was a passion for me becoming a journalist because it's one of my fathers of blessed memory, Mr. Bello, who said, "You look very smart and I'd like you to become a journalist." And it rang a bell in my mind. I said, okay. And he made it possible for me to write the competitive examination through my friend, Mr. Danny. And that, when I moved into the profession, I loved it.
Lorsqu'on s'est retrouvé à la CRTV et qu'il a été affecté au service des sports, ça ne m'a pas beaucoup surpris parce que c'est un touche-à-tout du génie. Il manipule aussi bien les questions d'économie que les grandes questions de politique ou de diplomatie.
Abednego Mesang and CHEBONGKENG had a very, very wonderful team. They were an example for younger like me. I was just starting. I was in the field of sport reporting. They had, I must say, the mettle, hardworking, and they were humble. So on the human parts also, I learned much from CHEBONGKENG in that expedition. And I discovered a real big brother. Protective, always asking after me.
He migrated comfortably from sports commentary to political coverages covering the parliament, and that was where I was honored to see him at work for the first time.
When CHEBONGKENG was appointed as editor-in-chief, the general feeling that we had was like, wow, we knew him like a sportsman, so his name was, you know, like linked to the sports activities. He appeared to be somebody who was very demanding when it comes to work. He was rigorous, but at the same time, he was somebody who was very kind.
He was a very paternal figure in the newsroom, but very firm as well. If he asks you to do something and you don't do it, you should expect a sanction.
Joe CHEBONGKENG et moi avons cheminé pendant un bon paquet d'années en salle de rédaction. Lui, rédacteur en chef, puis rédacteur en chef central de langue anglaise. Moi, comme rédacteur en chef, puis rédacteur en chef central de langue française. Ce qui a fait notre force, c'était le fait qu'effectivement nous formions un tandem. Nous préparions les journaux ensemble. Nous choisissions les sujets ensemble. Le fait de travailler véritablement en complicité nous a permis de produire des journaux d'une certaine qualité.
He was a real manager, a real leader, showing the way. We had to do the best newscast we can. We had to pay attention to every single detail while we are on the field. Use the right words. I remember he was spending his time correcting the language, and for the English-speaking desk, he was really very demanding on that aspect of the language, using the right words. And the news conference, there was one part just for correcting mistakes that has been done on the news, so we knew him for that.
We have people now that come from different schools of thought. They can bring in their own experiences and we make a better profession. No, in the sense that at the time you could know from the mold that this was a product of the Advanced School of Mass Communication, and the theories and everything we had at the same level. And so you could tell, even from school and the internship, that this was a rising star, this was a good guy. But now there are so many training schools. When they come, you have to reformat them to suit the taste. And so it's a big problem at CRTV. But you have very good journalists coming from here and there, unlike in the past when all passed through the same mold.
It's in 1997 that I started working with him. Then was at the radio house, that is CRTV Broadcasting House. Then he was one of the renowned sports reporters for CRTV, and I decided to do sports as part of what I had to do practically. And it was just natural that I came close to him, and we will go to the stadium together, we'll do some of the work in the office together.
I remember the former editor-in-chief before him, Ephraim Banda Gogomo, sent me to Parliament on the day when they were voting the law to institute Elekam. And Joe CHEBONGKENG was the main reporter there. He had to do a live piece for the 7:30 news, and then later on, since the session was continuing, filed that session and then came back. So I actually saw field experience coming from an experienced reporter, senior journalist.
One of the things which I would tell people who want to come into the profession is that there are so many things which you can do, but you must know how to do them. You can say anything, but you must know how to say it. I have never been given a query here at CRTV because of my professional performance. In spite of the delicate nature of the job and the subjects which I handle, both on news and my debate programs. So it's a good profession, but a challenging one. And if you become a star, you know how to manage stardom, or else you would be derailed because you would have developed a big head as a star.
Sitting around emblematic figures like Joe CHEBONGKENG, Boni Mua, Ephraim Banda Gogomo, Gemda Brinda, schooled us.
After 2002, the World Cup of Korea and Japan, which he covered with Abed Nogomi-san, Abed took ill and I replaced him as editor-in-chief. I was the chief of service while Joe was the deputy editor-in-chief, but I was chosen, instead of to replace Abed Nogomi-san. I saw someone with a rare humility and someone who knew how to take issues and he takes it as they come, those issues. He was the one who came to come toward me and said, now you've been given a mission and you can count on me.
Joe a ceci de particulier qu'il est quelqu'un de tempéré. C'est certainement dû à sa grande pratique de la foi, mais aussi à sa grande pratique de la profession et des générations, comme je dis. Si on n'est pas tempéré, on n'apprend pas aux autres et on n'apprend pas auprès des autres. Joe CHEBONKENG, de mon point de vue, est la tempérance incarnée. J'ai appris qu'il faut rester tempéré. J'ai appris qu'il faut garder, même dans le végétariat, le sens du rapport humain avec les collègues jeunes, middle ou bien old.
People of different professions admire their own professions and so on and so forth. But I think that journalism stands out in the sense that it carved out for itself the fourth estate of the Republic, the fourth power of the Republic. And one thing about journalism is that it easily brings out the stardom in people who get into the job, because you are the ones that people hear on their radio sets or watch on television. And so when you get into the neighborhoods, they admire you and they ask questions about societal happenings because they feel that you're the most informed person. And so you must have to live up to that challenge of being a journalist, and a good one.
Sports et rythmes sur le poste national de la CRTV en direct de Yaoundé, Lanka.
I created a program called Weekend Sports. That's what I've left for sports. That is on radio. We created that program to do weekend previews, and at the time we were a reference. One of the things which I'm very happy about is the creation of the archives service. I remember we were in a coordination meeting and I raised my hand and told management that I have observed that we had our U-matic cassettes, our Betacam cassettes littered around all the corridors here. And I was asking myself, these are the things which CRTV has as archives, because television came to Cameroon, that CRTV was the only channel for some over 20 years or so. So these are some of the things which we see being destroyed in the tapes that we have. Can't CRTV try to see even to get machines that will be able to reconstitute some of these pictures so that we can have some archives department? Remember, in those days we had Province à la Une, so many nice programs about our country, and we see them going. And so management bought the idea, and today we have an archives department or service in the house. And I think that some years to come, people will go back to be able to reconstitute the history of this country through the pictures which CRTV filmed at the time. I would qualify myself as the village boy turned the planetary man because of the profession. I spent about 14 years in sports, and during those 14 years, I was all over the world. And I visited all the 5 continents, covering sporting events and political events for CRTV. That was when I was on radio. And so I moved over to television and has continued in different domains. I'll begin with the President of the Republic, Paul Biya. It was a challenging event because it was the Cameroon-France Economic Summit. That was the first time I was traveling out with the President of the Republic. And the technician then, Lutsiri, challenged me to do a live broadcast after I had done the report to update Cameroonians on what was happening, or what had happened between 3 p.m. when we sent the report and 9 p.m. when the President retired to his hotel. It's something which was unusual on CRTV. We tried and succeeded, and management appreciated what we did. And I want to express my gratitude to the President of the Republic for the several opportunities he's given me, to the different managements of CRTV, because they made me do just what I loved to do and gave me the opportunity to express myself.
When there was no pastor in Bethel Baptist Church, for 3 years, he was the one pastoring the church. He oversaw the church, gave the leadership, gave the orientation and the guidance, and Bethel Baptist Church planted other daughter churches within that time. You could not know that it did not have a professional, as it were, but God used him that much.
Brother Joe CHEBONGKENG was president of the Cameroon Baptist Convention from 2008 to 2016. The first time that he came in as president for the first mandate of 4 years was in 2008, and then his leadership as president was well appreciated across the board. And then in 2012, the confidence was renewed in him with the second mandate, which ran from 2012 to 2016. I saw in him some high level of simplicity, always very jovial and very simple.
He encouraged many young people, and today we have more than 10 pastors that have come out of Bethel Baptist Church that were under his tutorship. They have worked very hard to see that this building be what it is today. The church has grown, no doubt, but if they did not lay that foundation the way they laid, the church would not have been upon to grow. So we are building on what they laid. When I was elected field pastor some years ago, he came to my office and told me, "Pastor, be firm and be upright, and then you will lead the people." Those words that he walked into my office and told me stayed with me for the rest of the 4 years when I was field pastor.
I think that it was quite enriching and a big experience in leadership. But I came to realize that the church was very complicated. I think one thing which made me succeed is time consciousness and programming yourself to fit where you were supposed to be at the time you were supposed to be. I made sure that the newsroom did not suffer from my absence, and I made sure that the church did not suffer because they elected me to be president. And I tried as much as possible that my family doesn't suffer because I am the president of the church and the editor-in-chief. So each time I had free, I would be at home.
I knew what the state wanted from him through the CRTV. So I just had to be praying for him, for wisdom, so that he shouldn't say anything that will cost him his job, because it's a very delicate job. He was reporting especially for sports, because at certain times too, he traveled out with the President of the Republic. But when he went out for sports, he stayed longer. All I did was pray for him. Pray for him, because I know the journey, all that he was making was not easy at all. When he goes abroad, he comes back, at least he brings you people gifts. But when it got to a certain point, when I saw that it wasn't moving, when they have to program, he knows that he's going, and soon people are arranging things, soon program will change, some other person is going. It brought frustration somehow, and then I discovered that I prayed. I said, "Father, if you can help me and take him away from sports, give him something else, I'll be very happy." And so I prayed, the Lord answered my prayers. They programmed him for another thing, I think TSA. I prayed. I said, "Father, no, not this one." They removed him from there and appointed him at Mbala 2. I was so happy, and I kept praying for him. When he was editor-in-chief, he went for very long hours, and he would come back tired, and so on. So we in the house, we helped him, made him joyful, and helped him to go ahead.
I don't stress myself, and I don't manage stress. My philosophy in life is, if I have something in front of me, I do it. If I cannot do it, I put it aside. And when I want to solve the problem, I put it on the table. I cannot solve all the problems in the world. No, all the problems that are affecting me, I solve what I can do. early 2012, the management of CRTV then, the Director General, Amadou Vamoke, invited me and the then Director of Information, Charles, and said we should brainstorm and come up with a debate program in English, because the creed of Anglophone are saying that we don't have such a program on television. And so when I came down, my director then, he said, Joe, I trust you. Sit down and do something. I invited English language colleagues. We sat down, brainstormed, and came up with a synopsis of what we wanted to do, and named the program Press R. Press R had a very difficult birth. It had a very difficult nurturing, but I thank God that the program has become one of CRTV's most watched debate programs. And proof is that it has won in a period of about 5 trophies.
Press Hour has been a very important contributor to public dialogue and debate in this country. The kinds of topics and issues that have been discussed here and the diversity of perspectives that have been shared on this program, I think have helped not only to educate and inform the public, but to form public opinions and to some extent affect the policies in this country.
Thanks to the moderation of Joe CHEBONGKENG, KALABUBSE, and the moderation which some viewers seem to not to like, because they feel that he is denying people the liberty to express themselves. But you know that moderation is just moderation. Joe has been moderating.
The Republic being a society of imperfect people, as humble as we are, as diverse as we are, Joe, in his managerial expertise, I was able to understand this, and he has allowed that Republic to bring to the fore, through people's views,
the manner of moderation, the manner in which he calmed down temperament, the type of questions he asked actually made us to be able to express ourselves to the people. And let me say, one of the most important things was that I myself was given an award, a recognition as one of the most frank and consistent intellectuals. Yes, because through the program we were discovered.
I was lucky to have worked with him. Press Hour has been a good experience, and I would say that Joe has been professional and is perfectionist.
The first time Joe CHEBONGKENG called me to present Press Hour, just imagine yourself in 1990 when Cameroon is qualified for the World Cup and you are called to replace Roger Milla. In fact, you sit thinking, can I really do it? Is it possible? And it's because of the conditions at the time, the separatist crisis. Everybody wants to hear what will be said so that they interpret it against you or in support of you. Everybody wants to hear what you say. You say you are either a backstabber or that you are supporting the government. And that's how I was feeling. Would I be able to do this? Joe could do that because he is Joe. It was very difficult. So I gave him my best and did all what it took to make sure the program was anchored. And each time the program ended, Joe would call, how do you think you did the program? As I'm explaining, he's correcting.
It's an emotional moment for me, and separating from Press Eye is like, you aptly described it as separating a mother from the baby. But I know that there are always beginnings and ends, and so I knew that one day this will come. Even though it's an emotional moment, but I know that the program will continue. Maybe those who pick up from me might not be like me, but they would add their own plus to the program. And I wish Press R well. I wish that the program continues. It might take a different dimension, maybe for the better.
Alors que Joe s'en va à la retraite, après de longues années de bons et loyaux services rendus, je lui souhaite une belle santé. Parce que s'il a la santé, il en profitera. Il servira son Dieu et il dira quand il nous regardera, je suis juste parti quelques années avant eux.
Je suis convaincu que Joe restera toujours journaliste. Moi, je lui souhaite bon vent parce qu'il y a une vie après la retraite. Et très souvent, c'est même une très belle vie après la retraite.
And as he goes on retirement, not tired, and I know you trust that, you believe with me, I call on God Almighty to protect him.
I will always remember professionally because of the way he took me as a young professional.
Thank you for being who you were for us, the younger generation, those who had the chance to be managed by you, to work with you, to learn from you. Thank you for your availability. Thank you for the values you transmit to us, this love of the work well done, that is something that I will really keep from you. Thank you also for this spiritual envelope, I will put it that way, that you were carrying all with you, because we were not only seeing Joe, the journalist, the editor-in-chief, we were also seeing a man of God. And he was encouraging me, particularly because I was struggling to speak English. And he was part of those who were saying, that's good. You're improving your English. That's good. So thank you also for that, and may God bless you.
Je souhaite que Joe nous rejoigne dans l'enseignement, dans l'encadrement de notre jeune génération. Il faut que ce qui nous a fait être ce que nous sommes, qu'on essaie de le partager avec nos jeunes collègues, toujours pour l'intérêt de notre travail.
I've worked in one department, the Department of Information, but I worked in that department at the radio and on television. And I would say that I found satisfaction with my colleagues in what I was doing as manager, as reporter, and as observer as well. For now, I'll stop presenting Press R, and I'll stop work at CRTV formally, and it could take another shape, but right now, I'd say goodbye to all of you.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.